Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling some really fascinating and honestly quite complex developments in the legal situation involving Cassie and Diddy. We've been looking at 3 news articles published just May 16th and 17th, 2025. They're all focused on day 5 of the trial and, well, the reactions afterwards.
Right. Big news coming out of that day.
Yeah, so our mission today is really to unpack some of the, let's say, unexpected details that came out. We want to try and give you a clearer, though still, intricate picture of what was going on between them.
Especially around the breakup time.
Exactly. Around the breakup and as Cassie started her new relationship. Okay, so let's get into it.
Well, I think the first thing that jumps out is just the stark contrast, really. You had Cassie's initial testimony and then what came out during the cross-examination by the defense.
Totally different vibes.
Yeah, it really highlights how these legal settings, this adversarial system, can pull out different, sometimes really conflicting views of the same events.
Absolutely. And before we dive deep into those text messages everyone's talking about, maybe let's just quickly touch on Cassie's time on the stand initially.
Sure.
By all accounts, it sounded incredibly difficult. She was recounting these alleged, deeply troubling experiences of abuse over those 11 years with Diddy.
Yeah, very harrowing accounts reported.
And then afterwards, her lawyer read that statement. She called the week empowering, a step towards healing. Talked about hope for other survivors, focusing on healing her pregnancy.
It was a powerful statement, aiming to frame her testimony in terms of survival and moving forward.
It painted this picture of someone dealing with really, really difficult alleged experiences.
And that initial testimony, it definitely set a certain narrative focus, didn't it? On the alleged abuse, the trauma, the healing process. We absolutely have to acknowledge how serious those allegations are.
No question.
But then, the defense steps in. Attorney Anna Estevao starts the cross-examination, introduces these text messages.
And the lens just shifts.
Completely. It presents this significantly different angle on the relationship. And immediately you're left wondering, okay, how do these two narratives fit together? Or do they?
Exactly. And this is where it gets really intriguing, maybe even confusing for some people following along.
Yeah.
Estevao presents texts exchanged right around when the relationship ended and just after.
And the tone wasn't what maybe people expected after hearing the initial testimony.
Right. Not angry, not accusatory, according to the reports anyway.
No, quite the opposite in some cases. The reports suggest Diddy was being, well, kind or supportive. But the real surprise, perhaps, was Cassie apparently responding with messages described as sweet and lovey.
Sweet and lovey, yeah.
And crucially, some of these messages were reportedly sent when she was already dating Alex Fine, her now husband.
Right. That detail alone,
Yeah.
it just throws a massive curveball into the narrative, doesn't it?
It really does.
And then it gets even more complex. Cassie actually testified under oath that she had consensual sex with Diddy. September 27th, 2018.
And the timing there is just...
Wow. Because this encounter allegedly happened after the date. She says Diddy raped her following a breakup dinner.
Right. After the alleged rape.
And then the very next day, she reportedly texted him saying she had a great time.
Yeah.
I mean, that detail, it undeniably raises so many questions.
It certainly does. And if you try to understand it, maybe putting it in the broader context of trauma and relationships, well, it gets complicated fast.
How so?
Well, the aftermath of alleged abuse isn't always a clean break. It's often not. There can be incredibly complex emotional ties still there, lingering connections.
Or maybe just different ways people process or remember things.
Possibly. Or even conflicting feelings happening at the same time.
Yeah.
It highlights just how intricate these situations can be.
Then there's that specific text exchange from October 2018. This is just a couple of weeks after that consensual encounter you mentioned.
Okay.
Diddy reportedly texts her something like, he's gonna fall back, give her space, but he'll be there if she needs anything. And Cassie's reported response, I'm lost without you.
Wow. I'm lost without you.
Yeah. After everything that allegedly happened, after a breakup involving those kinds of claims, that's a really potent thing to say, isn't it? Makes you really wonder about the emotional state there.
It really does. It suggests, well, maybe a level of emotional dependency, or at least a very significant connection that just didn't disappear despite everything alleged around the breakup.
Maybe speaks to the complexity of ending any long-term relationship, especially one with potential power imbalances like this one might have had.
Exactly. Those dynamics are always something to consider.
And the texts didn't stop there. The reports say they continued exchanging messages well into September 2019.
Okay, so that's well over a year after the main breakup period.
And crucially, this is after Cassie had started her relationship with Alex Fine, the man she married in September 2019.
So while she's building this new life, this new relationship, there's still this communication channel open with Diddy.
Yeah, ongoing texts.
That adds yet another layer. It's not just the immediate aftermath anymore. It's into a period where, on the surface, she's moved on. And the content of those later texts is also really noteworthy.
Absolutely. Diddy apparently called her his ride or die, always.
Yeah.
Said she was one of the greatest women in the world. Pretty strong stuff.
That praise, yeah.
And Cassie's response is equally thought-provoking. She reportedly told him, "I don't hate you. I never have."
Okay.
And then this one really stands out. "I wouldn't be at the beautiful point in my life if I hadn't been with you." She even testified that Diddy's message, the ride or die one, blew my mind a bit.
Yeah.
It suggests she acknowledged, well, some positive impact from their time together,
Yeah.
even with all the alleged darkness.
That specific line, "I wouldn't be at the beautiful point in my life if I hadn't been with you." That's quite something.
It is.
It seems like an acknowledgement of his influence, his role in her journey, even alongside the abuse allegations. It really underlines that relationships, even ones ending badly or involving alleged abuse, can leave these multifaceted, complicated legacies.
It's rarely just one thing, is it?
Almost never.
And just to keep the timeline straight, Cassie did testify the last time she actually saw Diddy in person was November 2018.
At Kim Porter's memorial service.
Right, in Georgia. So the text went on much longer, but the face-to-face interaction seems to have stopped then.
That's important context. Texting can fulfill a different need than seeing someone, can't it? Especially after a formal end. It maintains a connection, maybe, without the immediacy of physical presence.
Good point. And then finally, the defense pulled out one more exchange, but this one was way older, from 2012.
Okay, going back quite a way.
Yeah. Diddy apparently asked Cassie if she wanted to have a freak-off for the last time. And her reply was reportedly that she wanted to have a freak-off for the first time and for the rest of our lives. Seems like a pretty clear move by the defense, right? Trying to paint a very different picture of their dynamic.
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic defense strategy.
How so?
Present evidence that directly challenges the prosecution's narrative. Here, they're challenging the idea of consistent abuse, maybe suggesting more mutuality, trying to undermine the idea that Cassie had no agency.
So, showing these affectionate texts, bringing up the consensual sex testimony after the alleged rape, it's all aimed at the jury's perception.
Precisely. It's about muddying the waters, introducing doubt, influencing how the jury sees the power dynamics, the nature of consent over time, the entire relationship history.
So, wrapping your head around all this, what does it mean? For you listening to this, these texts undeniably add huge layers of complexity.
Right. No easy answers here.
We're faced with this situation that has these incredibly serious allegations of abuse, but also these moments documented in texts that seem to show continued affection, connection.
Even after the relationship officially ended, even while she was with someone new.
Yeah. It just raises these fundamental questions, doesn't it, about relationship dynamics, especially with possible power imbalances.
Yeah.
How do we even begin to grasp the complexities of breakups when trauma is alleged?
And what does it say about us? About human emotions, communication, how contradictory things can be, especially after really difficult experiences.
This deep dive, it's really just scratched the surface. It's a snapshot of specific moments in a much bigger story, both legal and personal. It definitely leaves you, the listener, to think about how these details might influence the trial itself, but maybe more broadly. It makes us reflect on how we understand relationships, the messy, nuanced reality of them.
It's a lot to process.
It really is. What stands out most to you from all these exchanges? That's the question to sit with, I think, and there probably isn't a simple answer.